Welcome to Technogate. Myself, Jagan. I'm the physics faculty in Technogate. So in last video, we discussed about the Bohr atomic model. In that, radius of orbit and velocity of our electron, potential energy of electron, kinetic energy of electron, total energy of electron. So just to have written there. Now here we derived the formulas, or we didn't derive that formulas because it doesn't require, but just formulas are needed. Derivation is not required, but formulas are required. Right. So first one is radius. Radius. Radius of orbit. Radius of orbit. For example, if you take this is the nucleus. It is the nucleus. Around this nucleus, electrons are rotating. Here, this is the electron. We can call it a radius. If it is electron rotating, it's radius. If you observe here, if radius is increasing, here n is principal quantum number only 1. Principal quantum number is 2. It is 3. If principal quantum number is increasing, radius also increasing. If principal quantum number is decreasing, radius also decreasing. How we derive the radius of the orbit? Already we know that in last video we had discussed mv square by r, centripetal force, is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into e square by r square. We discussed here in last video. And also in last video, mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi. This is a second postulate, it's a first postulate. From these two equations, just we rearrange the two equations, we get equation of the radius. So that is r is equal to, here written, r is equal to, Rn is equal to by rearranging these two equations. This is the first postulate, this is second postulate. By rearranging these two equations, we will get that Rn is equal to R is equal to n square h square epsilon by pi m e square z. Rn in the sense n square h square epsilon naught by pi m e square z. How ఈ ఈక్వేషన్ ఎలా వచ్చిందంటే ఈ రెండు ఈక్వేషన్ నుంచి వచ్చింది. రైట్. నౌ వాట్ ఈస్ Rn? When n is equal to 1 2 3 4 and so on. n is equal to 1 in the sense this one, ఈ రేడియస్ ని. n is equal to 2 అయితే ఈ రేడియస్ వస్తుంది. n is equal to 3 అయితే ఈ రేడియస్ వస్తుంది. n is equal to nth Rn is equal to n square h square epsilon naught by pi m e square z. Then how the radius of orbit will varies with respect to the principal quantum number. Right. n is constant, h is constant, Planck's constant, pi is also, m is the mass of the electron, e is the charge of the electron. Then Rn is equal to, if we substitute all these equations, all these values, n value, h value, pi value, m value, e value, then substitute all these values and rearrange, we will get 0.53. So the value of this one is the value of this one is 0.53. 0.53 into remaining is how much? N square by z angstrom. This is the final formula for radius. Rn is equal to how much? 0.53 into n square by z angstrom. What is the basic formula? Rn is equal to n square h square epsilon naught by pi m e square z. Here we observe that now now 0.53 is a constant. Rn is directly proportional to n square. Rn is inversely proportional to z. If we compare only hydrogen atom, so R1 by hydrogen atom, for hydrogen atom z is equal to 1, then R1 by R2 is equal to n1 square by n2 square. R1 by R2 is equal to n1 square by n2 square. If you compare different atoms, hydrogen atom and helium plus atom, right? In that case, R1 by R2 is equal to, in that case, n is different and z is also different. If you compare only hydrogen atom, this is the equation. If you compare different atoms, R1 by R2 is equal to n1 square by n2 square into z2 by z1. This is the equation. One more thing I need to clarify. This Bohr's atomic model is only for hydrogen and helium atoms. Right? One is single electron atoms. Single electron atoms. Those who have single electron atoms, for that atoms only it will be applicable. So we discuss later that drawbacks of the Bohr's atomic model. But here everything whatever we have discussed here, it is applicable for hydrogen atom or helium atom, He plus atom. Right? Now this is the formula. R1 by R2 is equal to n1 square by n2 square. R1 by R2 is equal to n1 square by n2 square into z2 by z1. For example, if they are given like this, for hydrogen atom, right? N1 is equal to 1 at the first orbit low. Radius is equal to 0.53 angstroms. Right? What is the radius of second orbit? Second orbit యొక్క radius ఎంత అంటారు? Second orbit యొక్క radius ఎంత? ఏం చేస్తున్నాం ఇప్పుడు? R2 by R1 is equal to R2 by R1 is equal to N2 by R2 by R1 is equal to n2 square by n1 square. R2 by R1 is equal to n2 square by n1 square. Right? So R2 by R1. R1 how much here? R1 how much? 0.53 is equal to n2 how much? 2 square. 2 square into 4 by 1. 1 square into 1. R2 is equal to cos multiply 4 into 0.53. So 12, 5 4s are 20, 21, right, 2.12 angstroms. So this is one of the examples, right? So like this radius will be changes. Now next one is velocity of orbital. Velocity of electron. So how much, what is the velocity of the electron whenever it is rotating in a orbit? So there is one formula is there, but the derivation is not required. Already we know that mvr is equal to nh by 2 pi. So v is equal to nh by 2 pi into m into r. Here r is there. R value already we know that r is equal to n square h square epsilon by pi m e square into z. If we substitute in this equation, we will get one equation. V is directly proportional to z by n. Z by n. There is some derivation is there, but it's not required. The velocity of electron in the orbit is equal to z by n. Z is the atomic number, n is the principal quantum number. Right. Here, if you observe that the velocity is inversely proportional to the principal quantum number. But in previous case, radius is directly proportional to the principal quantum number, n. But here velocity is inversely proportional to the principal quantum, because here it is nucleus. Around this nucleus, electrons are rotating. Already, if n is increases, radius also increases. That's okay. But what about velocity? Velocity is decreases, because here there is a strong attraction between for this electron. There is a strong attraction between the nucleus and electron. That's why there is more kinetic energy. Now, if you increase the radius or if you increase the principal quantum number, there is a bonding between the nucleus and this electron is decreases. That's why the speed of the electron అనేది తగ్గిపోదు, బాండింగ్ అనేది తగ్గిపోదు. వెలాసిటీ డిస్టెన్స్ పెరిగే కొద్దీ ప్రిన్సిపల్ క్వాంటం నెంబర్ పెరిగే కొద్దీ మనకి రెండు మధ్య బాండింగ్ తగ్గిపోయి వెలాసిటీ తగ్గిపోదు. So that's why V is inversely proportional to the n. V is inversely proportional to n. V is inversely proportional to n. Right. Now, and V is directly proportional to Z. V1 by V2 only for hydrogen atom is equal to N2 by N1. N2 by N1. So this is about velocity of electron. So once again, if principal quantum number is increases, n is increases, radius is increases, velocity is decreases, because there is a interaction between between center and electron is decreases. That's it. Now another one is next one, energy. Right. Next thing is energy. Energy are there are two types: kinetic energy and potential energy and total energy. So how much potential energy is there? How much kinetic energy is there? How much total energy is there? So whenever this is the nucleus, around the nucleus electrons are rotating. Already just now I given velocity is decreases whenever the radius is increases or principal quantum number increases. If velocity decreases, kinetic energy also decreases. Here the kinetic energy is decreases whenever it increases. Right? Then what about potential energy? What is the equation for kinetic energy and potential energy? So kinetic energy, so kinetic energy, already we know that mv square by r is equal to first postulate 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into E into E square by R square. This is the first postulate. From this, kinetic energy is equal to 1 by 2 m v square is equal to 1 by 2 m v square is equal to, so then cancel cheste, then 1 by 8 pi epsilon naught into E square by R. This is the formula. Kinetic energy formula. 1 by 2. So here it's a Z E square. Z. So kinetic energy. This is the kinetic energy formula. So what is? Anything? Z E square by 8 pi epsilon naught R. So this is the kinetic energy formula. So kinetic energy of electron, which is rotating, revolving around the nucleus. Right. Next, what is potential energy? Potential. One more thing is kinetic energy is always positive. It's not negative. Right? And kinetic energy is decreasing with increasing the n value. Next, what is potential energy? Potential energy. We can say it's a potential energy is P, that is equal to U. Potential energy. One more, potential energy is negative. Potential energy is always negative. It attracts something. So potential energy formula is minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into ZE into E by R. Right. U is equal to minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Z E square by R. So this is the potential energy formula. Right. Kinetic energy formula is Z E square by 8 pi epsilon naught R. Kinetic potential energy formula is minus Z E square by 4 pi epsilon naught R. 4 pi epsilon naught R. So what is the total energy? What is the total energy? Then this is the total energy. Total energy of the electron. Total energy of the electron. Total energy is nothing but is sum of the potential energy plus kinetic energy. Total energy of electron is equal to potential energy plus kinetic energy. All these formulas are important. How it is changes with respect to the principal quantum number. How it is changes with respect to the atomic number are important. Then this total energy is equal to, right, already know that minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Z E square by R plus 1 by 8 pi epsilon naught into Z E square by R. If you sum, we get total energy, that is equal to minus 1 by 8 pi epsilon naught into Z E square by R. So this is the total energy. So it's a total energy. E is equal to minus Z E square by 8 pi epsilon naught R. Right? So potential energy is equal to minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Z E square by R. Next, kinetic energy is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, 1 by 8 pi epsilon naught Z E square by R. Total energy is equal to minus 1 by 8 pi epsilon naught into Z E square by R. Potential energy, kinetic energy, total energy of what? Electron. Electron, which is rotating in a nucleus in a stationary orbits. It has some particular energy, but it doesn't radiate any energy. Right? Now, what is the ratio? Ratio of the potential energy, kinetic energy, total energy. It's important. Ratio. Kinetic energy is to potential energy is to total energy. Kinetic energy is minus 1 by 4 pi 8 pi epsilon naught. 8 pi epsilon naught into Z E square by R is to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Z E square by R is to minus 1 by 8 pi epsilon naught Z E square by sorry ఇది ఎప్పుడు నెగిటివ్ ఉండదు, పాజిటివ్ ఉంటుంది. Z E square by R. So if you do a ratio, right, 1 by 8 is to 1 by 4 is to minus 1 by 8. So when you cancel it, then 1 is to 2 is to minus 1. So the potential energy is minus 1. Minus 1 is to 2 is to 1. So this is the final ratio. Ratio of kinetic energy is to potential energy is to total energy is 1 is to minus 2 is to minus 1. Then kinetic energy ki potential energy ki ratio ఎంత వస్తుందంటే 1 by minus 2. Then kinetic energy ki total energy ki ఎంత వస్తుందంటే 1 is to minus 1. Then kinetic energy ki total energy ki potential energy ki total energy ki ratio ఎంత వస్తుందంటే 2 is to 1. 2 is to 1. So our potential energy is equal to 2 times of the total energy. 2 times of the total energy. Kinetic energy is equal to minus 1 by 2 into potential energy. So these are the some basic ratios between potential energy, kinetic energy and total energy. Right? So in this video we have discussed about the radius and radius of the orbit or radius of the electron or radius of the orbit which is rotating around the nucleus, velocity of the orbit or velocity of the electron, kinetic energy of the electron, potential energy of the electron, total energy of the electron. Radius of the electron R is equal to directly proportional to n square by z or 0.53. If we substitute all those form constants, we get 0.53 into n square by z. Velocity is directly proportional to z by n. Energy, potential energy is equal to minus 1 by 4 pi epsilon into z E square by R. Kinetic energy is equal to 1 by 8 pi epsilon into z E square by R. Total energy of electron is equal to minus 1 by 8 pi epsilon into z E square by R. The ratio of kinetic energy to potential energy and total energy is 1 is to minus 2 is to 1. So if it ఈ రెండింటి రేషియో తీసుకుంటే kinetic energy potential 1 by minus 2. ఈ రెండింటి రేషియో తీసుకుంటే 2 is to 1. Then potential energy to total energy ki potential energy equal to 2 times of the total energy. Right? So we'll discuss more about the potential energy, kinetic energy and total energy and what are the drawbacks of the Bohr's atomic model. We'll discuss more about in next video. Thank you.